E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guinois Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. We were starting to record this show, and I forgot to hit record. And that just goes to show you that I've got the professional patient here to help me out. Amen. Before we begin, before I introduce you to Mr. Joel Peterson, who's been on the show many times before, he's a personal friend of mine. He's a veteran. He's going to share some great information to you. You might see the ticker down there, Tough Mother Products. The website is toughmotherbrand.com. I'm not paid for this endorsement, but I do endorse this for the quality of what it brings to the party. That is, let me move back away from the camera there a little bit. Tough Mother's, the sweet tonic, I guess. And it has 10 of the, what's happening there? 10, it says 10 roots. Let me share with you, if I may, what's in this great tonic, and I'm going to share with you why I chose this tonic. It has organic apple cider, organic honey, organic oranges, organic onions, organic garlic, organic ginger, organic horseradish, organic turmeric, organic jalapenos. Oh, I love jalapenos. They like me and I like them. Also, it has the organic habaneros chilies and organic black peppercorn. Now, the reason I bought this product, as you can see, I'm using it. In fact, I am actually got a tablespoon of it in a glass of water here that I'm drinking while we're doing the show. Do your homework. I had open heart surgery. I had 4 bypasses. Of course, I take an aspirin a day, and they have me on these other statins. And looking at the side effects, I talked it over with my cardiologist, and I said, I don't like the side effects. I'm going to try something else to try to clean up my pipes. I want to be proactive rather than reactive, because I haven't seen anywhere where they say after 10 months or 2 years, you've been healed. It's more of a health maintenance program. And but the side effects was not attractive to me. So that is why I endorse that product, ladies and gentlemen. I am not paid for that endorsement. This is a nicety to know, a freebie from my heart to you, because you folks that follow us out there in TV land, you know we do not endorse products or anything that we do not use and believe in ourselves. So do your homework, go to their website and check them out. I think they're over in Austin, Texas. It's a small company, and we like small companies. We love small companies because they're everyday people just like you and me. Right. And with us today, the professional patient, he's also known as Mr. Joel Peterson. Welcome to the show again and again and again. You've been here 3 or 4 times, haven't you?
Amen. I sure have, Jim. And thank you for inviting me again. It is an honor.
Thank you, sir. It's our honor, because I'd like for you to share a little bit about how you earned the title of professional patient. Listen to his journey. Please, if you would, Joel.
Thank you. You know, the last 6 months of my mother's pregnancy, she was very sick with me and she almost lost me. Then the next 3 years, she had to go to the UC Davis, UC San Francisco, and some of those medical hospitals out of Sacramento area too, to try to figure out what was wrong. And during that time, neighbors and family had to donate blood to keep me alive. And then 4.5, I was put on Ritalin, because after they finally figured it out, the next year and a half, I was excited as a kid. Hey, I'm not sick anymore. I'm not throwing up anymore, projectile vomiting. So they put me on Ritalin. 5, they put me on Silert, and I don't remember my youth. Then at 17 years old, I joined the Marine Corps. Running from my father, wanting to be a man, be able to be strong. And I got out just before Desert Storm happened in 1990. And within the next year, my back started to go out. And the VA put me on Vicodins, Flexerals, and Somas. So I was immediately heavily medicated. And so the next 24 years or so, I was, in and out of the hospital, disability, backs going out, a lot of mental problems. And now I realize a lot of it was hormonal problems. And that happened in 2015 when I almost died. And I got down to 135 pounds, and Mom had to move in and start feeding me by hand just to keep me alive. That got me to Whole Foods and learning about natural foods, like the ingredients he just read. And that was because my nephew brought up a phone and said, hey, you're going to die if you don't start studying what's going on. And you should go to Facebook, go to some of those cancer groups, go to those. And because I couldn't get help. Then that got me to Dr. Clearfield, who's a DO, doctor of osteopathic medicine, and he's a bioidentical hormone specialist. And we use supplements, not pills. Okay. And I started to learn, we immediately realized that my hormones were greatly off. I was very low in testosterone, diddly low. But according to the VA numbers, what I call big pharma numbers, I was okay. It's a 250 all the way to 900 range. And I was like 257. And they considered that okay. We consider that heart attack worthy. We really do.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. So now he balanced out my hormones. And it was like the ADD. It was like the PTSD. It was like everything stabilized. It was night and day. And I never was able to grow hair. I was even losing my hair. And I've got a picture with a big bald spot, and my hair's growing back.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So now I've become the professional patient, and I teach people how to heal their gut, their heart, and their brain so that their mind's okay.
And you speak at conferences, don't you?
Yes, I speak with Dr. Clearfield at some medical conferences that these doctors go to throughout the year for their continuing medical education, their CMEs. And I do it voluntarily because I like being in this realm. And I was suicidal myself when I was so sick. And then when I started to learn this medical profession, I started to realize that our veterans were killing themselves at a great rate. And we believe it's now over 150,000, Jim, that have killed themselves since 9/11. And that's the VA and the DOD's numbers. And it's suppressed with the media quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I believe it's part of it's big pharma wants to sell us pills.
Yes.
Point blank. And so people like myself and Dr. Clearfield, we come at this from a standpoint of the gut and the heart and the brain. You balance those three out and you avoid the heart attacks.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because you're a former Marine, and I'm a Vietnam veteran. I served a total of 31 years in the United States Army, and 28 of it was in the reserves. But my point being is that we've got skin in the game when it comes to our veterans. And you've had some great success. You and Dr. Clearfield have had some great success working with veterans who suffer from PTSD. Would you share that, sir?
In a nutshell, Dr. Clearfield started to study Mark L. Gordon's process for traumatic brain injury. We have what's called brain-derived neurotropic factor. So your brain has steroidal hormones, and the hormones in the body control the hormones in the brain. But the hormones in the gut and the brain and the heart, I believe personally, are interconnected energetically. And now we know some energy healers, and I believe in God. And so you take care of the gut, and the heart is a mission. The heart is the people you interact and touch. The heart is the family. The heart is your community. The heart is your church. That keeps your brain okay. And then your mind is all right. But
Mhm.
pharma has these veterans believing that they're mental and that their
Oh.
PTSD is mental, and they're mental because of what they saw and what they experienced.
Mhm.
The way we look at this is you have an impact brain injury and you have a non-impact brain injury. They
Mhm.
both throw off your hormones. So you have
Mhm.
different levels of trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. But they all the trauma has to be controlled with proper eating,
Mhm.
proper community, proper environment. That takes care of the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
together take care of the brain, and then your
Yeah.
mind gets better. So we don't like to
Yeah.
use the terms clinical depression or treatment resistant depression. We
Mhm.
figure out why you're depressed. Okay. And it's the same thing like cancer. People believe when they get cancer, now they're sick because of the cancer. No, you were sick. That's why you got cancer.
Yes. Yes. And I tell people that the two things I like to cover right quickly, everything at the molecular level needs nourishment to survive.
Yeah.
That includes cancer, arthritis, everything. So if you focus on shutting off its nourishment, it's got no other prerogative but to die. That's exactly what's going to happen. And Joel, also too, when I landed in the hospital with a heart attack, I didn't know I was having a heart attack. It was a mild one, which I'm grateful for. But there was a study done in 2009, the University of California it was, and they said that over 70% of the patients who wind up in the ER with a heart attack were just like me. For
Wow.
decades, my blood pressure was good.
Right.
My cholesterol level, as far as the LDL, was at 76.
Yeah.
And when I even went in the hospital after my heart attack, it was at 96. So by medical standards, I'm good to go.
Right.
And there's a lot of doctors that don't believe that. But the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, when you wind up in the ER with a heart attack, they don't call your medical doctor, they call the cardiologist.
That's right.
Most of the time, the medical doctors, your medical doctor never gets a chance to even see you because you're in a specialized field, and rightfully so. And I'd also just like to say, if you or someone you know has got to have surgery, open heart surgery or something like that, please do not worry. Because my experience and the experience that I talked to several other cardiac patients who were going through cardiac rehab with me, one guy had 2 bypasses, one guy had 3, a couple of us had 4, one guy had 5 bypasses. The common denominator was we all felt good and we did not suffer any pain to speak of after the surgery. I didn't need any pain medicine in the hospital at all.
Wow.
And I was dumb enough thinking they're probably shooting me something through the IV. I didn't know, but I didn't. But after I came home, I didn't need pain medication. Now, when I coughed, I felt that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a poke in the ribs. You jump and then it's over. It wasn't anything like, oh, I need a pain pill or anything like that. So what I'm saying is that worry is your worst enemy.
Yeah.
And I know, Joel, you've had a lot of experience about worry and stuff like that, and how don't live in fear. Be proactive rather than reactive. That's always the best approach, isn't it?
Amen. Highly agree. It's the approach.
It certainly is. And before we get into the more of the heart discussion about heart disease and all that, and I just want to click over here real quick and talk about a couple of things on the National Today. One of the things I want to talk about is today is the National World Literacy Day, and it was started back in 1965 over in Tehran. And the idea of a World Literacy Day was conceived during the World Conference of Ministers of Education for the eradication of illiteracy in Iran. And it's just taken off from there, because being able to read and encouraging your child to read and understand that the benefits of reading, that is critical, because if you cannot read well, you cannot send messages very well because, I get a lot of messages in for people that want to be on the show and all that. And if I see misspelt words, or if they say there and they spell it there like THERE instead of THEIR, that's an automatic disconnect for me. And it's also an automatic disconnect out there in the real world when they're applying for a job or whatever. People will evaluate them on their messages. And even the messages I imagine you get, Joel, you can pretty much determine some of the need or lack of where someone's coming from.
Agreed.
And, yeah, it's very, very important. So, and also too, I think there was one other thing you wanted to give a shout out for on the National Today. Was it World Physical Therapy?
I believe so.
Yeah. Go ahead if you want to.
Some of the people that I work with can be extremely overweight. Mm-hmm. And ironically, I talk to them about chores and stuff around the house because we put off a lot of that stuff around the house. So you can physically start to get active just in that environment. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can get you out of your shell and get you to the physical therapist around town or the physical therapist in the hospital so that you could avoid some type of heart attack or some type of event. And physical therapy can be anything. It can be walking. It can be hiking. It can be boating. It can be dancing. In fact, Dr. Clearfield picked up dancing because he said you can learn polka. You can learn different types of dancing right here in your own community. And anywhere you travel, you could be a dancer. And he forces himself to have fun. And we even had that in the Marine Corps. We called it mandatory fun. You get so professional and you get so into your job that you get rid of physical exercise. You get rid of fun. And that can cause a heart attack.
Oh, yeah. You got to have a release there because in physical therapy, it's very important for you to be physical. A lot of people like the advantage of being in a pool in water. They can, it's great exercise. As Emerson covered yesterday on yesterday's show, it's great exercise for you. It's very, very less stressful on the joints of your body too.
And the VA is starting to look at physical therapy differently, and they have the chiropractor and the acupuncturist at the VA in the physical therapy office. They're all in the same arena.
I remember when I came back from Vietnam, I had a sore spot in my neck's what I had. And it was kind of like every now and then the nerves would kind of pull and I could barely turn my head to the left. And so I go on sick call in the Army and they give me muscle relaxers. Now, this is 1970, ladies and gentlemen. And what a muscle relaxer does, someone asks you what time it is, you go, it's 12, whatever, and it just really slows down the mental process. And so I remember my dad, after he had his accident, he went to a chiropractor. And so the chiropractor, I didn't know anything about, acupuncture. I do now, but I didn't then. So I went to this guy's his last name was Killinger. He was an older fellow, kind of retired, working out of his house, real nice guy. And he was a Palmer graduate from the Palmer School of Chiropractic. And he felt to me, he said, yeah, son, he says, you got a pinched nerve in there. And he said, I can relieve it. It's going to be sore for a few days. I said, okay. And so he adjusted me, gave me a full adjustment, popped it and all that. And I felt better, immediately. But my neck was so sore because the nerves had just really tightened up those muscles. It took a couple of days, but I was out of the woods. But my point being, I'm glad to hear the VA now has recognized, alternative ways. Acupuncture is fantastic. I had a sciatic nerve, and I tell you, it's wonderful. It really is. And I'm a strong believer in acupuncture. And I've also got on the marquee there, ladies and gentlemen, the Tough Mother brand, the product that I told you about first part of the show. Turn the camera around here and get it going here. Be sure and check out their website. I think they're over in Austin, Texas. I know they're a small company, but they got great products. And again, do your homework, look up the ingredients, see what's in benefit for you, and discuss it with your doctor, whoever, but make the right decision for you. Be proactive instead of being reactive.
Amen.
And when it comes to, I'm going to click on they got the meal of the Harvard Health Publishing has the meal of the month, and they talk about having a hearty salad supper. And that is really something I have been able to develop a taste for, because my wife has been able to, make the salad a lot more tasty. Look for ways to make salads more tasty, because I like almonds and walnuts and apples and things like that in my salad. And it really does do two things. When you eat it, you don't feel lugged down. Number two, it's good nourishment for your body.
Amen.
And I know you're real big on, good meals and all that. What are some of your favorite healthy meals that you enjoy? You have a particular.
Ironically, I do very little meat,
Mm-hmm.
and I do a sourdough bread. It's one of the first companies, and I forgot the name. Doggone it. They are non-GMO. They're organic, and they do it the original way, the old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm.
And I use a nut peanut butter that's made out of nuts and seeds. And I do avocados quite a bit, and I like nuts, and then salads. And part of my sickness, like I told you guys earlier, we believe I developed what they call lipodystrophy. It's in a classification of HIV. And so I eat a more high fat diet than most people do. And I stay at a great weight, and my numbers are great. And I crave salad and avocado. You'd be amazed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You develop a taste because your body starts saying, hey, I like this stuff,
Yeah.
Because I tell people all the time, your body is a processing center.
Yeah.
It's not a recycling center.
Amen.
You cannot put, how can I say this? Because I was guilty of this many years ago, back in the 80s and 90s. I eat what I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I turned 40 in 1988. Well, when you get, past in your 40s and in your 50s, eating like you did in your 20s, it doesn't work that well. And I thought, okay, all I got to do is take these supplements, and it's a win-win situation. But I did not realize I was putting my body into a situation where it was a recycling center, and it's not. That doesn't go too well. And, another thing I wanted to cover today, Joel, is that the flu puts a lot of stress on the body, and having your immune system built up that's the foundation of your health, isn't it?
Amen. Yes, it is, to say the least. And we do our best to use these supplements to help with that immune system. And Dr. Clearfield has it's literally a 1-page sheet. And that's what he uses based on hormones. And he's been doing it for years. And he balances out your hormones with supplements. We use supplements first before we use pills.
Sure. Now, on the marquee there is joel@67@gmail.com. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you about more information or that sheet or whatever,
Yes,
they could get in touch with you and you could send it to them?
definitely.
Okay, good. I thought that'd be the answer, but I wanted to ask to make sure.
Yeah,
and one of the things too about all of our guests here, anything that we do, if you inquire information from us here at the TV station or any of our guests, we do not, none of us, including our guests, put you on an email list to try to peddle stuff to you.
No.
We give you what you ask for. And if you want some more information, we're here available. That's a prerequisite for us, because I know how I feel when I want some information from somebody and they want me to either, well, you know how that goes. It's I just want to be left alone, But it's very important, because in the flu here, this is also from the Harvard University about Ask the Doctor. It says many patients have told me this was an answer that they were answering from them. It said many patients have told me they don't see the value in getting flu shots because it's just a flu. And they imagine that influenza, the flu, is nothing more than a common cold, but that's not true. The common cold is one thing, but flu puts a lot of stress on it. Now, whether you believe in taking the flu shots or not, that's up to you. My personal thing is I want to build up my immune system, keep my body healthy, and fight off all types of disease. And because what's interesting, this is not just the CDC estimates that from 2010 to 2020, the flu resulted in 140,000 to 710,000 hospitalizations, and it rose from 12,000 deaths to 52,000 deaths each year. And comparing that to automobile accidents, about 40,000 people a year lose their life in automobiles. Now, I'm a firm believer because of our poor eating habits. I mean, look back in history. I laugh at the greatest generation, my dad, and people that were born in in the early 1900s, I should say, 1910s, 1920s, whatever. Those people, they smoke. They wasn't anything. I don't recall seeing any gyms around or anything like that, but they ate more healthier than we do today. And you can just look. I mean, obesity was not as common with those folks as it is today. And heart issues and all that. I mean, it's escalated from the 70s on. It really has. And Joel, when it comes to keeping yourself, balanced, your gut, your heart, your mind, I visualize when you talk about that like it's a serpentine belt in the engine turning everything, getting everything going.
Right.
And you and Dr. Clearfield, you guys have done a lot of research in that area, and you've had a lot of success in that area, haven't you?
Yes. We look at it based on the hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And I get people to understand that they need to see someone like Dr. Clearfield. Mm-hmm. And I also teach clients that the food is where you get the regulation of your hormones from. So when you eat a lot of what I call man or woman made food, it really is in essence bad for you. Mm-hmm. We need to eat God food. Mm-hmm. And the more you look at God food and avoid the man and woman made food, it's amazing the difference. You literally can get away with fruits, vegetables, roots, and seeds and nuts, and it's amazing. And you don't need a lot of meat. You really don't. It's not like what you think. And you need a lot of water. You really do.
Oh, yeah.
And I've even gotten mushrooms lately.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about water, because water is very, very critical. We're about, I guess, 70% water. We don't normally think of ourselves as being that much, having that much water in our system, but we do. We need it for one of the big things that brings home to me that I need a lot of water in my system to help my blood be thinner naturally, because if I'm dehydrated, my blood is going to be a little thicker. That's going to make it a little harder to pump through the veins. And so water is critical. It's one of the best things you can do for your defense of your body. Yeah. It really helps with arthritis and just a whole gamut of things. I mean, it's just amazing, because like I said earlier, I'm drinking the water with the apple cider vinegar mixture in it from Tough Mother, toughmotherbrand.com. And I tell you right now, yeah, you're drinking on the job too. We drink on the job around here, but it's non-alcoholic. But the thing of it is that the more hydrated you are, the better you are. And soda pops is one of the worst things you can drink to quench a thirst, because it really doesn't, does it?
No, not at all. You're drinking corn syrup, and usually you're drinking genetically modified sugar beets that's turned into sugar. So the body doesn't even recognize it as an actual sugar. That's what's so horrific about it. And this right here is 20 ounces, and I only do 2 scoops of beans, coffee beans, and I mix it with 1 teaspoon of organic coconut oil, the C8 coconut oil, the high level coconut oil for the brain. And then I mix it with vegetable powders and mushroom powders and salts. I do real gray salt, real Himalayan salt, and real salt from, it's called actually real salt from Utah. And they get it underneath the
they mine it, in other words. Huh?
Yeah, they mine it. Yeah, so it's not exposed to the toxins and the pollution in the air.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's
that's really amazing, because a lot of the stuff. Where do you get a lot of your stuff? As it like Whole Food stores or natural stores?
Here we have Whole Foods here, and there's natural grocers. Natural grocers, all their produce is organic and non-GMO, all of it. And most of the stuff in their store is organic, or you have access to it. And then we have a Great Basin co-op. So there should be in towns around America, co-ops. And the co-ops, you become a member. And the co-op we have here, they go within a 200-mile radius. And the small farmer can't afford, I think it's like a $50,000 to $100,000 buy-in to be certified as an organic farmer. Some of those farmers, that's what they make in a year. So they can't afford it. So they don't get the certification of non-GMO and organic. So our co-op here, they go out and learn their practices, and then they'll buy their produce and they bring it back, and we know that it's good produce.
Yeah. That's very important, because it really helps the small person, the farmer, and also too, you know what you're buying, you know what you're getting, and you know, in this case, they know what they're delivering as a finished product to the customer base out there. And that's very important, because when it comes to nutrition, that is the first level of defense. That is the first level of good health. It's everything. It really is. And like I say, talk with your doctor about anything you're going to do, because let me say this. One of the things that scares me and concerns me is when some guru on TV picks up a bottle and says, "Hey, this is great. This is like the next new fountain of youth," or whatever. And people just blindly accept it. They flock to it. They buy it. And you got to do your homework, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can harm yourself rather than help yourself, because let's be honest, what's good for the goose may not be good for the entire gander.
Amen.
And that's where you got to be prudent, take a deep breath and relax, do your homework, evaluate things on its face value, on truth. And like, I'm going to use I've never met Dr. Clearfield or anything, but never spoken with him. But when you talk to people like that, you interview them, ask them questions, and then you interview other subject matter experts who have a proven track record. And I agree with a third one too, because if you get 3 people who are professionals and they got a proven track record and they're all saying the same thing, I would take a serious look at that. I really would, because you got to do your homework and stuff. And I want you to share a little bit more about some of the successes that you've had there, that, people that's come to you that's really been, they needed some help. Let me put it like that.
One right off the bat, it was a 24-year-old. His mother brought him in. He was suicidal, very sick, heavily arguing with his father. They were both in the construction trade. And he went in and he had his visit with Dr. Clearfield. Now, the thing is a doctor has a certain amount of time to tell you that this is what's happening to you, this is what I see, and this is what I recommend. So it's a whole lot for him, it's a 1-hour interview. It's 50 minutes to an hour. He could really, to me, that's what the difference is between a DO and what I call a hospital allopathic doctor. Hospital allopathic doctors, they have to go by insurance. They have to go by government regulations, and they have to go by big pharmacy labs that are catered to pills. Okay. So Dr. Clearfield's telling this young man and his mother, this is what you need to do. These are the supplements we think that can bring up your hormone levels and balance out your methylation. And when he came out, he wasn't still quite convinced. So a lot of our patients go through a lot of doctors, and they hear a lot, just like you said. And I explained to him what happened with Dr. Clearfield and me, and how much it completely changed my life. He saved my life. I now get out of the house. I volunteer. I'm on boards. And I research tremendously. And I've literally helped 6 individuals that were suicidal. And they're all still alive, knock on wood. And I kid you not, Jim, this young man I saw when I was in essence hustling him with the truth. And I saw hope in his eyes. His mother saw it. She started crying. I started crying. And now he's doing excellent.
I remember when we first passed cross back with the Speakers Pathway Coalition several years ago. I remember that you were just starting to come out, because there were times in your life when you had I don't know how to say it. Correct me wherever I'm wrong and clean it up. But you had kind of like a fear of going out, didn't you? Or
oh yeah, a lot of people do. Especially our veteran community. There's this perception that us veterans are killers. Only we believe 15 to 20% of veterans are actually combat veterans. The other 80% of us aren't. We're just there in support.
Right.
Okay? So a lot of people think we're crazy.
Amen.
So you start to take on this persona, and you start to see or feel yourself that way. And you don't want to go out there because you do have fears of being in crowds. You do have, in essence, irrational fears. And we believe that your hormones control those. We really do.
I agree with you 100%, because when I came back from Vietnam, I come back unassigned. I was, when I say my orders for extending were medically revoked, the reason why my orders were medically revoked was because I had jungle rot on my feet. And this full bird colonel walked in, and he saw my faded uniform, and he said, "Son, how much longer you have over here?" And I said, "Well, sir, I just extended." He said, "You just what?" He said, "Son, you just unextended." He says, "I'm going to send you home. You need to get out of this cesspool where you can go back and heal up, because this jungle rot on your feet over here is not going to go away. It's just too hot, too humid, all that." And like a dumb buddy, I said, "Sir, you can do that?" He said, "Son," he was an old Southern boy there, "Son, you see this full bird on bird on my collar?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You better believe I can." And within about, it was less than 2 weeks, I was home, but I wasn't ready for it. And back during that time, being a Vietnam veteran, we were looked at, like you say, as baby killers and whatnot. We were labeled with, and no one ever mistreated me in that regard, that other veterans suffered. But we all struggle with the big 3, and that is who we are, who do we think we are, and who do our family and friends think we are. Because the thing that I experienced was that everybody was kind of like, "What's wrong? How come you just can't fit in?"
Right.
And my attitude was, "Get out of my face. I don't even want to talk to you about it." Because the only person I could talk to was another Vietnam vet, and we just didn't have that. We did not have that support channel there.
Right.
I knew nothing about PTSD, battle fatigue, whatever you want to call it. I knew nothing about that. The Army, in its infinite wisdom, figured if they sent us on some 7-day R&R to out of country to Australia or Thailand, wherever you want to go, and maybe a couple in country, 3-day R&Rs down to Vung Tau, you could drink it off, shake it off, come back and say, "Yeah, that shows you the infinite wisdom that they had.
Right.
But it's really important, because I can just imagine, I wasn't afraid to go out, but I'm having the fear to go outside. I know a lot of people suffer from that. And when we think about hormones too, we normally label that or think about women in that category, right?
I know.
We don't normally think about us, the guys.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's huge.
It's,
It's absolutely huge. And
yeah.
it's I believe it's the key, and it's heavily missed in the regular medical system. And
Mm,
there's a bad reputation with bioidentical hormones.
mm,
When the muscle men and women were using a lot of extra testosterone,
mhm.
what I take in a week, they were taking in a day. So that was causing problems, and that was causing heart
Mm,
attacks. And the mainstream medical, they took it as gold that hormones cause cancer, and it doesn't.
mm.
So it's taken a lot for them to get on board and figure out that
Wow.
hormones can balance you out. But I'm now learning that the food is what balances out the hormones in the first place.
Mhm.
And your environment. And when I say environment, that's your people, that's your friends, that's your family. So our military got used to a certain environment, and then they
Mhm.
come back, and you're with your wife, your husband, your
Mhm.
mother, father, your brother,
Yeah.
sister, your family, and that's it. When we
Mhm.
were over there, we were with the mechanics, we were with the plumbers, we were
Mhm.
with everybody. It was just,
Oh, yeah.
so you got to come back here and get back into that community.
Mhm. Yeah.
Super, super powerful. And the body has an amazing ability to adapt, overcome, and improvise even while you're sick. And this is where people miss it. So as you're getting sick, your body compensates. You're getting
Mhm.
sick, your body compensates. You're getting sick. And these little things, you don't notice that you're starting to become a recluse. You're starting to hide. You're starting to do these
Oh,
little,
yeah.
you're searching for sugars now. You're
Yeah.
searching for alcohol now. You're searching for gambling now, and you're
Mm.
escaping. And so community is huge. And the VA has what's known as recreational therapy now. They're
Mhm.
getting us veterans to get back to hobbies and crafts and art
Mm.
and
Yeah.
sports. And that's what
Mhm.
recreational therapy. So you have to get back out into the community. It's key. If you're sitting at home watching Fox News or MSNBC and you're
Mhm.
eating junk food, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to cover that, and I'm glad you brought that out because a lot of people who suffer from heart attacks and strokes or whatever, they suffer. They don't want to, go out and exercise. They don't want to,
No.
put in, they want their heart to work like a perfect machine. Well, your heart's a muscle and it's got to be exercised. And when I was in cardio rehab, I remember they had me on this little, I guess you call it a bicycle thing where you sit back and you pedal, and of course, they put the resistance on there, which makes you feel like you're pedaling uphill. And for 15 minutes, I would go pretty much about as hard as I could. I'd you slow down a little bit during I'd speed back up pedaling, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd get my heart rate up to over 100 and I don't remember, it was way up there,
Yeah.
150, 160 beats a minute. And I'd be sweating. And this is an air conditioned, cardio rehab center.
Wow.
And and the lady there, she told me, says, Jim, again, go over there and sit down, get you some water, gotta let your heart calm down.
Right.
And then after about 10 minutes, really, she'd come over and she'd check my blood pressure and be like 110 over 60. I says, I didn't have blood pressure that good when I was young and good looking back when I was a teenager. But at
Right.
age 74, I really appreciate that. At no time did I feel like I was going to drop a valve, blow a head gasket, or spring a leak in my heart. But you got to have the courage to do that because I've heard of men after a heart attack, they're even afraid to
Right.
be intimate with their wife.
Yeah.
Please don't go down that street. You are enslaving yourself. You are, it's how do I say it?
You're changing your hormones, literally.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
change your cortisol and your adrenaline levels with fear.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
really do. Fear is horrible for you.
That's a great way of putting it. I'm glad. So now you see, ladies and gentlemen, why I brought the beard of knowledge here. If we hear on, was it Pawn Stars? That's the way Rick refers to the guy from the museum, the Clark County Museum, the
Mm,
beard of knowledge. But see, he said it very,
wow.
very well. Joel said it very, very well, much better than I could. And I thank you for that because who's that gentleman behind you there?
That's Dr. Clearfield.
Hey,
That's
you better bend
boss.
down here and say hello to us, Doc.
Hello,
We've been
it's
we've been
Jim
talking
Grant.
about you. How
Hello,
you
Jim
doing?
Grant.
How you
Talking
doing,
about
sir?
hearts.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't have any here.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're not an interruption at all, Doc. We've been talking about you. We've talked about you many times, and we've never
Talk
had
about me.
You bet.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to
And-
say,
Yeah.
I don't
But
know if I should be
yeah.
worried about that or not.
Just share a little bit about who you are, what you do there with the folks, because we're just glad you're here.
Who am I
Please.
talking to? I see Jim Grant, but who else am I talking to?
360
Oh, you're
TV
yeah.
show.
You're on TV around the world.
Oh,
Don't worry
on
about it.
TV.
Nobody-
I would have combed my hair if I.
Hey, I just comb mine hair too. So go ahead. No, but sincerely, this is for folks out
What,
there.
what was the question again?
Oh,
You're catching me
just-
off guard
Who
here.
are you?
Yes.
What do you do?
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of live TV.
Right.
Just a little bit about who you are, what you do there at your clinic, and just
My
share information.
Hang on.
Okay.
My name is I'm Bill Clearfield. I am ostensibly a family physician, but we've been doing anti-aging medicine for over 20 years. Our specialty is actually hormone balancing and hormone replacement. If you've talked to Joel, he's probably told you his story.
Mhm.
And he's actually one of our real successes. He was a total train wreck when he wandered in here one day, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We sort of hit it off for some reason. I don't know. Usually,
Oh yeah.
and he's been with me for what, 7 years now?
Almost 8.
Yeah, 7,
Yeah.
almost 8 years.
Yeah.
And he's almost there. Another 8
Another-
years, and we'll have it down.
That's right.
Another 25 years, you got him healed. You got him right there, huh?
So we sort of look at our patient population through the lens of hormonal balance.
Mhm.
I liken it to the frame of your house. Whoever put us together played a big joke on us and decided that around age 25, 26, that things would start to deteriorate. And at first you don't notice it. By 36 or 37, you don't really notice it very much. By 47, depending on how well you've taken care of yourself and, the luck of the gene pool, that kind of thing, things sometimes start to slow down. By 57, it's very noticeable. And in the old days, we were told, well, you're getting older. That's just, there's nothing you can do about it. But that's not true. Okay. It's to me, it's a fascinating subject. I was a family physician. I hated it. I always tell Joel, if I hadn't found this, I'd probably be driving an Uber now. I'd much rather that. It was just was not for me. But what we do now is every day is a new challenge. I mean, we see people that big university medical centers have told to go home. There's nothing you can do for them, and sometimes we get them better.
Yeah.
We have a definitive focus. What we do. We have a hierarchy of how we handle things, so we try not to miss anything. We see a lot of people at the quote unquote end of the road, which is kind of what we like actually. Because the easy stuff's already been, already been ruled out. So, I mean, we found people that had brain fog and chronic fatigue and all sorts of, nebulous joint pain, those kinds of things. And I know one woman in Walnut Creek, and we teased it out. We actually sent a lab test in error, and it came back positive. And it turned out that she had allergic reaction to MRI dye. I mean,
Wow.
She'd been to Stanford, she'd been to UC Davis, and they all missed it. And here I am, my little family doctor, allegedly on the street corner in Reno, Nevada, and we're able to pick up those things. So, we built a reputation over time. I've been here for 9 years now,
Mhm.
and we have a pretty good reputation. We don't tell anybody anything that we can't back up. We also
Sure.
don't do anything. We also don't do anything that we don't have peer-reviewed medical literature for, which is a big surprise. Because
Yeah.
fortunately, a lot of my colleagues have not looked at a book that's been written since 1980.
Yeah, they're so busy they don't have time, do they?
Well, I mean, I'm busy too, but
Yeah.
if you want to make the time,
Yeah.
So now I'm actually so one of my hats is I'm actually the teacher of teachers. So I teach the teachers what to teach. So
Yeah. How can people find you? Do you have a website or?
we do have a website. It's drclearfield.net.
drclearfield.net.
Yep.
Joel, if you'll put that in the private chat, I'll make
Gotcha.
a banner for it so it'll run there.
And
I
then
can copy it.
professional people there. We actually have a couple of video courses that we've. Am I allowed to walk those too?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a couple of video courses that we put together that have actually CME credits, so they can get continuing education credits for it.
Yeah.
If they write us, we can hook them up with that.
Okay.
We do a lot of teaching. Up until recently, I was the executive director of the American Osteopathic Society of Rheumatic Diseases,
Wow.
which sounds impressive, but is basically a lot of work. And for some reason, they don't like what we do, and they decertified us. So,
yeah. I got to ask you a question. This is for my Army buddies out there because I'm a retired Master Sergeant. You mentioned earlier about, how you have this anti-aging stuff and all that. You work in that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. This is for my Army buddies out there, Doc. Do you have anything to make us young and good looking or
I don't. Well, we do some cosmetics. Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, that was a joke there
We have
first.
some machines that do like facelifts without surgery.
Yeah.
With no needles, even a little bit of ultrasound gel. We have another one that'll get rid of the belly fat. We have that. We have those. And pretty much any kind of the jiggly arms and legs. I mean, if it's a cosmetic kind of thing, but we like to work from the inside out. So, like I said, we use it as a sort of a hormone centric, is what I call it, approach to things. And when we get the hormones balanced, I mean, really, it's amazing that we really cover everything. From your nose to your toes and the brain itself. We have head injury people. We see a lot of those. And a lot of times it's not the immediate, you hit your head and you were unconscious for a day, but it's the personality changes and those kinds of things. Down 3 months down the road, a year down the road, up to 17 years down the road.
I'm going to have Emerson Brantley reach out to you guys because Emerson's one of our hosts here. He's a great friend of ours. He suffered a traumatic brain injury in December of 2020, I think it was, and he was in a coma in ICU for about 6 weeks. And the doctors told him, says, normally, someone like that, you go out feet first. We got about a minute and a half left. So I'd like for, you guys to just share any final thoughts with the audience before we wrap this up.
Get to a DO. I'll just be honest. Get to a DO. There's a lot of complications nowadays with all the pills, vaccines, poisons, toxins, chemicals, even some of the electricity and electromagnetic frequencies. And this type of doctor can fix it.
Yeah. Don't take no for an answer. Don't take you're getting older. That doesn't cut it. There are many avenues that can be explored. Now, are you going to be 20 again? Well, probably not. So as you can see from my hair, it's silver, not gray.
I hear you.
But so it's not, but don't take note, especially if you've had chronic problems that have lasted for a long time and you've been to this place and that place and 9 million tests. There are answers out there.
Keep going.
As we wrap up this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say be sure and go to drclearfield.net. You see the marquee there. And just check out the website. If you got any question, any concern, reach out to him or Joel. You saw his Joel, Joel67@gmail.com.
You bet.
Dr. Clearfield, thank you very much for letting us put you on the spot just in the
It's
spur
okay.
of the moment.
Even to get a protein drink, actually.
There you go. There you go. Hey, thank
All
you
right,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
You bet.
Thank you, Doc.
Joel, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you coming in on a short notice to help us. And thank you for the great information. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow. Be sure and love yourself first, then you can love others. Have a wonderful day. Bless you from the bottom of our hearts. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Amen.